A teraz jestem z profesjonalnym sędzią z firmy ESL, z Grahamem z Anglii. So Graham, could you introduce a little bit of yourself?
My name is Graham. I work as a referee for ESL on the Intellectual Masters and some other products.
So can I ask you how your typical day at a tournament looks like?
A typical day at the tournament generally involves sort of getting here a few hours earlier, making sure everything's prepared for the players, so when they arrive they can just set up, start their games as soon as possible. During the day it's obviously making sure the schedule runs on time and obviously all the rules are followed for the players. There isn't much they can do wrong, but just making sure that everything goes basically as smoothly as possible so that the broadcast and the production is on time, and obviously I provide a fair playing field for the players so that everything's good for them.
Okay, so right now it's a noon, and your tournament is starting at what time?
My tournament starts at 4 p.m. today.
So you're a referee for LOL or?
I'm doing StarCrafta II this event.
StarCrafta II.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit of your work? How working as a referee looks like?
Working as a referee, for StarCrafta II specifically, I do a coin toss, and then with the players.
What is a coin toss?
Coin toss is when you flip a coin, heads or tails, and then the winner chooses who starts the map veto process, which decides what maps they play on in the game.
So it's like football referee.
Yeah, it's like a football referee. Yeah, pretty much. And then from there, I physically host the game in game, so I invite all the players, the broadcasters, other referees if I need them, and we all sit in the lobby, and then we start the game, and then I have to watch the game to make sure if a player pauses or has a problem, then I can go and help them, and then sort of repeat the process over and over again until we're done with the day.
So you have your own computer. How you're getting involved in the game?
Yeah, I like to have my own computer. I like to have like two big screens up and have I have the game, I have the broadcast, I have maybe like the Skype chat with the other referees, and I like to keep involved and have lots of things going on, and feel like I'm quite into the game. Generally, they never have to change the rules. Normally, the rules are there, for a reason, and there's no reason to change them. Intervene is a word that. I'd like to say we don't intervene with anything. We sort of try and let things run their course. But obviously, if something's wrong, then we have to fix it. But
so for example, what can go wrong?
Like some very basic things. Just like at the start of the match, we have the colors say this player is blue and this player is red, and sometimes the players like to switch over their colors in the game lobby before we start. So we have to make sure that they fix those before we start, which we've had that once or twice.
Okay, but into the game, because this is before the game.
So in the actual game, honestly, there's not really many ways that we actually have to do anything about it.
The game is going on.
Yeah, I mean, for 99% of the games that we ever do, everything goes completely fine. We have
That's
had
1%.
1% is when we get very, very, very long games due to
how much time?
I've been in the two longest games of StarCraft in history, which
really?
was both involved. Well, one involved Mana and Firecake, where they played Swarmhost versus Protoss, and the Protoss didn't really want to attack, and the Swarmhost player did the same, and they just sat there for 3 hours just doing nothing.
Really?
And then there was a second game, which was Lil Cannon versus. I can't remember who these players. I think it was. I'm gonna say his name wrong, but Zhu Geliang or something from Finland. And very similar problem. Terran just sat there with all of his units just on his base, and he couldn't really be attacked.
So it was just a defensive game.
Yeah, but basically the players played for a draw in a way, where they neither player could win, or neither player wanted to try and win, because they thought, well, if I attack, I'm probably going to lose. They both had very good defensive setups, and neither player could really win. And the game just went on for on and on and on. And
so what did
eventually, the Zergs won both of the games in the end. But
what was your role?
My role, the problem I have is that people are telling me to call it a draw. They're not going to finish. They're not going to win, and I have to follow our rules. Say that if a player cannot win, if both players cannot win, then I can call a draw. But thankfully I knew better, I hate to say, and I let them carry on because I knew that the Zerg player could win if they tried. So I let them play and they won. But yeah,
Just 3 hours.
I don't know the exact time. I think one was about 3 hours and 40 minutes. This is in-game time, so it's a slightly accelerated time, but still, it went over 3 hours. Yeah.
3 hours like normal time.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
time.
so. Yeah.
So it was just boring for spectators. It was boring for spectators.
Oh yeah, it was definitely boring for spectators. They get to a point where 2 hours of the game was exactly the same, and they were just sitting there watching nothing essentially.
So you were just waiting as well.
I'm in the same place, and that's it's kind of not very fun, but at the same time, it's what I do. So
How many people are professional esport referees?
professional esports referees.
Is it like professional esport referee?
Yeah, I mean, there's at least 5 of us at ESL.
Like doing this for life?
Yeah, there's at least 5 of us at ESL, and then I
And
get
all of you are here in this
yeah,
area?
all of us are here. So that's my director of my department there, and then the League of Legends guys are coming a bit later, I think, because their final doesn't start until after ours. And the Counter-Strike he's already in the back of the spot deck right now, preparing for his final. So, yeah, we're all here. We have a few other sort of like part-time / they do this job at events and then they do other jobs when they're in the office. But we have 5 definitely, and I'm sure DreamHack have at least 2, maybe 3, and other companies have lots as well. So.
Spectators, players, you're not in the foreground, right?
No. I sit behind the scenes, behind the backstage, usually with the production crew, so all the TV guys, and obviously, I sort of become, I start the game, I hand off to the observer who directs the camera during the game, and then he sits next to the maybe the director of the show who directs all the sound, audio, and video people, and yeah, it's sort of like it's almost being part of the TV production in a way.
So, do you like that job? Is it interesting? Like every day is a new challenge?
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I mean, I'm English. I'm not German. I moved to Germany to do this job. I now live in Germany. I have done for nearly 2 years now. Before that, I'd sort of done it sort of part time for maybe 6 years. So yeah, I definitely enjoy it. It's a very, very fun job. Very very rewarding when you sort of get to the end of the event, like when the final game happens and you think, whoa, we just pulled off this crazy event in the big stadium. That's a really nice feeling.
So it's not so popular job. Like there are not so many people doing this, right?
In a weird way, there is a lot of people doing it because our online activities, we have lots of leagues and tournaments that run online, and they're run 90% by volunteers, people who just at their computers, like I used to do when I was younger. I'm still quite young, but when I was younger,
How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I used to sit at my computer in the evenings and run cups and tournaments and qualifiers and whatever. And we have.
So you're just watching game.
Yeah. I used to do it online from my house. I used to go home from school, do my homework, and then run tournaments for people for free.
Okay.
For free, for no.
In the ESL league?
I used to do ESL, yeah, for 6 years. I did that. So they're the people who actually sort of provide a lot more in a way than I do, because they build up the players. The players who come through those tournaments end up being the players that end up at in the stadium, so to speak. So there's a lot of people doing it. It's just there's actually not that many opportunities for people to work on it full time if they want to.
And what's the most interesting part of that job?
Interesting part of the job is sort of, I mean, for me personally, I get to travel a lot. I get because the Intellectual Masters.
Travel is interesting.
Intellectual Masters. We've been to Canada, we've been to Taiwan, we've been to China, we've been to America twice, I think, in the last year. I love the traveling. That's very interesting for me. And but in terms of the actual job, I think a lot of it is actually just working with the players and meeting the new players, and I've met.
You're working with top players in the world.
Yeah. I work with all the top players, and it's nice to meet these people, especially I like other cultures, and meeting the Koreans and learning how they do things, and that's always nice. And then when we went to Taiwan, I got to meet some of the Taiwanese players, and same with China as well. And it's really cool to sort of experience these cultures and meet all the new players and just in a way make friends. Like these are all people who were all involved in the same thing, and it's really cool.
So Taiwanese, Chinese, Japanese players are different from European players, right? Can you see that difference in actual gameplay?
I'm not going to say that I can see a difference in their gameplay, but certainly in the way they prepare. Like I might see at the end of an event, it's 10 p.m. and I see the Korean players or they go back to the hotel, they get a good night's sleep. And then I'll see some of the Western players, the Europeans and the Americans, and they'll be calling a taxi and they'll be going out drinking.
Okay.
Like maybe they're not in a tournament, maybe they are, but some of them will. They have very different.
Asian players are more professional.
I don't want to say more professional, but I think sometimes they value it a bit more than the Western players, and I think that partly that's
why Asians are better.
I don't think that's why Asians are better.
It's true, Asians are better.
Asians are better, but I don't think it's because they go to sleep early night. That's red eye. I think a lot of it comes down to the training regime and the mentality and the mindset they have when they're at home. I think it's like a culture thing where they sort of set their minds to something and they just become better to it. And I do think that the training practices of the Western players is probably a detriment to them. I think they I don't want to say lazier, but I think I don't think they practice as hard as they think they do sometimes, or maybe not efficiently as they think they do. Like I think that I think it's been shown that players who go live in Korea and stay there for a few months, they improve, and that's because they have a structured learning environment where they play. It's like, I need to improve on this week. Okay, I'm going to play against this player, and this player, and they're going to help me improve on that one thing. Whereas I don't think that happens so much in the Western.
So South Korea is like a mecca for esport players. Like they go in there to practice. Like it's the best. For example, like Nigeria or Kenya is the mecca for long runners, like long distance runners. Is it something like that in terms of esports in Korea?
I think in terms of StarCraft in Korea, yeah, for sure. I think it's been proven that certainly the Europeans, for example, in Counter-Strike, are the best. So I don't think it's necessarily an esports thing, because the Koreans aren't the best at everything. Like there are games where they don't even touch the surface of the top teams.
CS?
Yeah, like Counter-Strike. I mean, they had one good team. They had the old Eastro We Made Fox team who would get up there every now and then. They didn't travel as much. They didn't play in as many tournaments. So maybe they could have been better. But even then, the majority of the teams would be the SKs, the Fanatics, the Ninja Pajamas, and
Virtus Pro.
Sweden. Well, Virtus Pro have had a lot of different names. It's very hard to name them over the course of history because they've had so many different organizations. But those three Swedish teams, especially Sweden is they just breed Counter-Strike players like they're like the Koreans breed StarCraft players in a weird way.
And what was the most interesting event for you as a referee? What was the most stressful decision? The most important one. That you're thinking when you go into your bed that I could do something differently, or I decided. Your decision decided who won the match.
I have never made a decision that decides who wins the match. I can safely, hand on heart, I can say that I've never made a decision that decides who won a match. That's always come down to the players in the game. There are situations I could have handled better, but most of that is never seen on the camera. It's always in the backstage. It's situations where I could have handled something better to my producer who's run the show. It's never been about the players. I can safely say that I don't think the players have ever been affected by one of my decisions in terms of I've caused them to be at a disadvantage by doing something. I think the most stressful event I ever had was BlizzCon last year, so a few months ago. We had a lot of technical issues, and handling those again.
What kind of technical issues?
I don't want to go into it too much, but there was a small problem with the game client, and we had some disconnections from the game. But it was very obvious what was happening, but we had to fix it.
Just technical problems.
Yeah, just technical problems. Yeah, and we fixed it, and then the last day ran really nicely. But The first day was pretty stressful for that because no one kind of knew what the problem was at first, and obviously handling all the downtime was stressful, but we got through it, so it was okay.
Okay, so thank you, Rafał, for that interview. It was really interesting. A Wam dziękuję bardzo za uwagę.